Hi you guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly and thank you so much for watching. Today I thought I would do something a little bit different. Recently I've been really interested in money. I have started listening to this money podcast called She's on the Money. It's by this Australian woman based in Melbourne. Her name is, I think, Victoria Devine, and she's created this podcast where she just talks about money and whatnot. And this isn't sponsored, by the way, but I've just found that I find her really interesting, and I've learned a lot about money from listening to her podcast. So I figured maybe I would make a video where I talked about how much money I earned in the last financial year, how much I was taxed, and then I'm gonna break down what sort of money I spend each week on what different things. I feel like money is a really taboo subject, and I get why, but at the same time I find it really interesting when other people talk about how much they earn and whatnot, and so I figured I would talk about it here. So I have my phone here to look at for reference because I'm going to tell you how much I earned last financial year. So that was from the 1st of July 2020 to the 30th of June 2021. So for a bit of background too, I live in Sydney, Australia, and I work in aged care, and my income for last financial year before tax was $55,000. So within that financial year, I'm sure you guys are curious as to how much of that money I was taxed, and I was taxed $10,100 for that financial year. What happens at the end of the year is you can claim money back through your tax return, which is what happened with me, and I got some of that money back. But because I was taxed on average $10,000 throughout the year, it meant that I only saw about $45,000 come into my account within that financial year. And so if you divide $45,000 by 56 weeks, which is how many weeks are in a year, then you get about $800 a week. So I earn $800 a week on average, which is well below the average earning. Let me just get that back up. According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the average person earns around $1,737 per week, which is like essentially more than double what I earn in a week. So now that we've gotten out of the way how much on average I earn, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I actually do with my money when I get it come into my bank. Oh, I guess one more thing that I also have taken out of my pay is my study loan. So basically in Australia, what happens is you have a HECS debt normally. This debt is a debt that can accumulate if you go to uni or whatnot. The government will cover the cost of you going to uni, and you will then pay off that cost after you finish your degree and after you're earning a certain amount of money. In Australia, I think it's 40,000. If you earn above 40,000, you have to start paying off your study loan. So I've been paying off my study loan for a few years now, and I pay off about $10, I think. It's between like $10 and $20 a week is normally the amount that I pay of that study loan. So that is also an amount that gets taken out of my pay each week. And then we get to the amount that I see come into my bank account. Like I said, that amount is around $800 a week. I get paid fortnightly, so it's obviously more money that I see come into my account, but I just average everything out as if I was taking out money per week each week, if you know what I mean. So the first thing that I do every time I get my paycheck is I put 20% at least of that money into my savings account. I put it in there straight away. So when I'm earning $800 a week, 20% works out to be $160. So $160 is how much I take out at least per week and put into my savings account. I chose 20% because it is easily achievable for me. I don't have a lot of other expenses, you know, I don't have kids or anything like that. I don't have any loans that I'm paying off besides my HECS debt. So that's the amount that I've sort of settled on. It's probably normally a bit more than that, but yeah, 20% is my base. So $160 of my $800 each week goes into that account. On top of that, each week I put $50 into a travel account. So that account is basically what it sounds like. It's just another account I have that I put $50 a week into, and so if I ever want to go overseas, which hopefully one day I'll be able to again, you know, any holidays, I use that money from that account to fund those holidays. My travel account, honestly, it was such a good idea. I started it a bit over a year ago now, and I already have a few $1,000s of my own money in there. Liam puts money into it as well, and we like share it. But yeah, that has been a really good thing that I've set up. So after those two expenses, the next thing that I spend money on each week is my rent. So my rent works out to be $240 per week. So it is a pretty hefty amount of money that I pay in rent, but you know, it's one of those costs that you just have to suck up and pay. Then each week I obviously pay for groceries. My grocery bill normally ends up being about $90 a week. The CommBank app is really, really good for showing you your spending. By the way, you guys, this is not an ad or anything. I'm not sponsored, but I just really like how the CommBank app is set out because it's really easy to navigate, and yeah, it just shows you what you spend money on. And the next thing that I spend money on, which kind of ties into groceries, is eating out and takeaway food and whatnot. And you guys, this number is really, really bad, and I know it's really bad, especially when you consider how much I earn. But on average per week, I would spend at least $30 or $40 on takeaway food. I get a takeaway dinner at least once a week, and I also get coffees multiple times a week and banana breads and whatnot. I kind of use the excuse at the moment of just helping support local small cafes and stuff. I know I could definitely cut down on my takeaways and whatnot, but it is just one of those bad habits that I haven't been able to kick yet. The next category that I spend a fair amount of money on is shopping. I spend a fair bit of money, I guess, on like Kmart stuff for Kmart hauls and whatnot, but besides that, I don't spend a lot of money on shopping, like clothes and makeup and all that stuff. I'm normally pretty good, but I would say on an average per week, it probably works out to, again, about $30 that I would spend on shopping things. It really, really depends. This week I spent like $120 on a pair of shoes, but previous weeks I've spent no money on things. I have to say recently my money spending has been quite different because I'm not spending any money on like entertainment, so like movies or, you know, going to the city or things like that, because I literally can't. I mean, we're in the middle of a lockdown, but I would say that I'm spending probably a little bit more money on random like shopping purchases and takeaway. Probably I'm spending a little bit more money on takeaway. And also one cost that I'm not paying for at the moment is transport. I used to get, you know, a few Ubers every now and then, and that obviously isn't a cheap cost, so that was something that I also used to spend money on, whereas now I'm not paying for transport because, again, I can't go anywhere besides work and I drive to work. I have always wanted to invest my money. I feel like money that's sitting in your bank is like dead money. You can make so much more money through investing, and I know that, but it's just about finding the right things to invest in. And I've just been lazy, and so I haven't done that yet, but that is something that I really hope that I do sometime in the near future. That is sort of where I sit with my money. Oh, and by the way, you guys, whatever money I have left over at the end of normally I'll do it in fortnights because, like I said, I get paid by fortnight. So whatever money I have left over in my spending account right before I get paid, I will transfer that money over into my savings. But yeah, that is basically my money and how I spend it. that, thank you so much for watching. I hope this one interested you. Feel free to comment below and let me know, you know, your money story, if you're good at saving or not, and what sort of things you think you spend too much money on, because I love knowing what other people spend too much money on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in my next video. Bye, you guys.